Hello, I'm Notes, and welcome to 2015! As I said in my last video, there were some good albums and some not so good albums from 2014. The overall feeling for last year was meh, but even out of all of that meh, there is still a few albums that did work their way more towards the top, and one album in particular that was able to rise above so much that I can honestly give it my Notes 2014 Album of the Year. The standout album of the year for me was a newcomer to the scene. They are an amalgamation of different musicians from very different backgrounds. They want to take prog to a new level. They love the sounds that were captured in the 70s and wanted to kind of modernize them a little bit. I'm a big fan of this. As much as I love the retro prog, and as much as I love the Flower Kings, and I love Spock's Beard, and I love Transatlantic, and I love all of those kinds of, paying homage to the yesteryears, I do like when they decide to take a little step back and push the music forward into a more of a modernized time. And this is what that band did. It's a fresh take on more of a classic sound. And I'm talking about Perfect Beings with their self-titled debut album, which you can probably tell with the title of this video. The band has been working on this album for a couple of years now, kind of basing the album loosely on a very recent sci-fi novel. We have themes like identity, transformation, humanization, technology, and of course love, all wrapped up into this one package of Perfect Beings. And I love this album. It's so fresh, it's so new, it's so boring. Not this again. Yes, I'm your first impression of this album. Right. Okay, what did you think of this album? Come on, fresh? This album? It sounds just like Going for the One from Yes. This isn't fresh or new. It's straight up retro prog in disguise as fresh. Okay, I will admit, yes, I do hear the Yes influence, and Going for the One is definitely prominent on this album, especially with songs like Removal of the Identity Chip and Frictions. With those big organs and the slide guitar, definitely mimics parallels from Going for the One. It definitely has that same kind of feel. Yeah, the same feel, it's the same thing. The only difference is that this was produced and released in 2014 instead of 1977. And I don't know how you can find that this is that good. It's alright, but it's boring. The songs are slow and it's just unoriginal. Where are the build-ups? Where are the payoffs? Where are the heavy riffs? Now, you know that not all music has to be blasting out the windows to be great. Subtle music can be just as beautiful, just with the one hook from Bees and Wasps. That first single that was released on it. I mean, have you heard that yet? Firing colors, synapses hanging on. Yeah, I heard it. It was alright. Come on, just alright? Okay, it was a really good song. It has a really good foundation and it takes its time building up, and the playing on the album is superb. The drums on the first interlude is very smooth and very clean. It reminds me of how Phil Collins used to play in his glory days with Genesis. And it continues with that guitar section and the vocals after the interlude with that computer overdub. It sounds really kind of cool. It doesn't actually sound tacky at all like dubstep or auto-tune. It sounds very original and fresh. Yeah, I know, right? The ending is just that very passionate vocal section. It's just so beautiful. And the accompanying synthesizer that just makes it come together as one. Yeah, okay. This album is actually kind of amazing, even if it does sound like my favorite Yes album. But hey, if they're able to sound like that, it must be one hell of an accomplishment. Yes, but after listening to this for so long, I would say that it captures that same feeling and taste of Going for the One and does not completely rip it off, but it just kind of has that same kind of feeling. But you know, thanks for your say. The first impression of the album is also very good, but the more I listened to this and the more I started to really get into it, it grew and it grew into something so beautiful. Let's just drill down and dish out what is really special about this album. As noted before, the percussions and drumming on this album are some of the best I've heard in a very long time. Now, it's not just technical throughout the entire thing. It's not just a, you know, it's layered. When it calls for that technicality, it's there. When it calls for subtlety, it's there. It still has those technical and complex times, but it never goes over the top and becomes showy. It always keeps it classy, and it always kind of just keeps it in the back of your mind. And the drums were provided by Dickie Feliziar. It isn't just the drumming. The drumming it's beautiful and it's a standout feature of this album. But all of the players are strong and all of them work really, really well together. These guys are masters of their crafts, and it really shows. They're not just a bunch of kids that decided to put out an album and this is their first time in the game. These guys have been at it for quite a while doing their own things and decided to come together as a full group. Ryan Hurchin's very smooth and very soothing vocals blend very well with Johnny Luly's guitar work. Both are very well used and very well timed as well. The bass provided by Chris Tristram, finally a name I can pronounce, keeps the groove going and provides that bottom that is needed for the foundation of all of these songs. The other standout musician on this album is Jesse Nason on keyboards, with those really deep organ sounds that I love so very much, and it hasn't been used to this level of degree since I believe IQ's Dark Matter. Now, I could list all of the standout tracks on this album. I'd just be listing the entire album. That being said, I would have to say that Removal of the Identity Chip, Frictions, and the closing track, One of Your Kind, are the ones that rise above this already amazing piece, and I could just listen to again and again and again. The ending of Removal of the Identity Chip, probably at that halfway point where it goes all into the instrumentals, it's so good that I just want to grab a random person on the street and say, you have to listen to this, you have to listen to this right now because it is just so good. The build-up that Removal of the Identity Chip takes, and then that final payoff is just, it's so rewarding and something that a lot of bands have kind of struggled with this past year. So just how it's bookend with that act and react, act and react, you know, that's how it starts off the album and that's how it finishes the album. And I love when they reuse themes like that. And unlike other artists in the progressive rock community where they reuse themes to a point where it almost becomes uncreative and repetitive, these guys do it where it is used very, very well. You know, that full circle that is kind of right at that title cover, and it is beautiful. And that ending of the song with One of Your Kind is so beautiful, and that is really how you use a soft melody to capture the theme and then hit you once again for that last little bit. And the other reason why I love this album is how whole it feels. You can definitely feel that this album is more than just a bunch of songs that are slapped together to fill a 50-minute runtime. It's very well planned and very well executed. And it's because of this that it holds up after multiple listens. And in my opinion, why it deserves this past year of 2014's best album. And let's hope that 2015 can learn from this. And that's it. Notes out.